Hi, friends. Today for reading, I have a great book called Flight of the Dodo by Peter Brown. Now, this is a really good book, and it's a fiction book, which I think you can recognize or will be able to tell as we read it. But I want you to think about any sort of animal adaptations that this book might indirectly refer to. Now, I know that was a big word, but that means that it doesn't exactly say what the animal adaptations are, but I want you to notice. And then at the end of this, we'll figure out how we can have a discussion about animal adaptations in this book called Flight of the Dodo by Peter Brown. Flight of the Dodo by Peter Brown. It was a beautiful morning, and Penguin was feeling good. But just when he waddled outside, splat! A goose pooped on Penguin. Oh dear. For crying out loud, he screeched as the goose flapped away. If I could fly, I'd at least watch where I pooped. But Penguin couldn't fly. He was just a flightless bird. He was a waddler. Penguin had always dreamed of flying, and it didn't seem fair to him that the flappers got to have all the fun. So he rounded up his friends to discuss the future of the waddlers. Ostrich, kiwi, cassowary, we are all birds, but have any of us ever had a bird's eye view of anything? Don't be silly, Ostrich laughed. Waddlers can't fly. Only a flapper can have a bird's eye view. That's been true for the last 50 gazillion years, said Penguin. But this stain on my jacket says it's time for change. The stain from the goose poop. The more Penguin squawked about flying and seeing the world, the more sense he made to his friends. And before long, they came to an agreement. The waddlers were going to fly. They just had to figure out how. Inventing a flying machine wasn't easy, and the waddlers tried one lousy idea after another. What is going on here? This looks like these are fans that they're strapping themselves to. And here it looks like he's just blowing air into Kiwi. But after months of slaving away, they finally came up with something they thought just might work. They called it the DoDo. The waddlers said goodbye to the ground for the first time in their lives, and they climbed in. 3, 2, 1, liftoff! Up they went above the trees, over the hilltops, and through the clouds, until the waddling birds were flying higher than the flapping birds. I've never seen so much stuff before, Cassowary squawked. We didn't even flap our wings once, said Penguin. Those flappers are doing it all wrong. The waddlers had waited their whole lives to get off the ground, and now that they had actually done it, there were a few things they wanted to try. At last, Kiwi could do the ultimate cannonball. Look, here they are up here. It looks like he's jumping out and cannonballing into the water. Cassowary wondered what fluffy white clouds tasted like. Looks like he's tasting some clouds there. Ostrich had heard that fly fishing was fun, but had no idea how to do it. This looks like Ostrich is trying to fly fish here. When the dodo drifted over a lonely old rock, Penguin finally felt the thrill of target pooping. Oh dear. That's just gross. Target pooping. One thing all the waddlers wanted to do was show the world that they were now officially airborne. And when they heard the flock of geese honking proudly in the distance, the waddlers knew it was time to make their grand appearance. Oh dear me, he just got stuck. Penguin flew the dodo below the geese and above the geese and tried every ballooning stunt his bird brain could think up. After each trick, his co-pilots turned a more disgusting shade of green. What does that mean? I think that might mean they were starting to feel a little sick. I don't think this is such a good idea, whined Ostrich as his stomach groaned. But that didn't stop Penguin. He raced past the geese, laughing. Last ones to the cloud are a flock of geese. The geese didn't even try to keep up. Instead, they sank below the dodo and disappeared. Penguin was feeling quite pleased with himself when suddenly he heard a loud rumbling sound. He looked straight ahead of the dodo and realized that they were racing straight toward a thunderstorm. He turned the dodo around, but within seconds, dark clouds surrounded them and rain began pouring down. They pulled levers and tightened ropes, but the storm was too strong. The waddlers had no control of the dodo. "We don't belong in the sky," cried Cassowary. "What were we thinking?" Just as the other waddlers were about to really lose it, Penguin saw something. Below the clouds and through the rain, Penguin was barely able to spot the flock of geese sitting safely on the ground. He needed their help, but the geese were too far below to hear the squawking waddlers. There was only one way to get their attention. Oh boy, what's he going to do? After factoring in the rain and wind and position of the dodo, Penguin let loose the most precisely aimed poop ever to fall from the sky. Oh boy. Looks like some of these geese are looking up. Where did that come from? They're thinking. The geese took flight to investigate the source of the poop and were soon flapping alongside the dodo. "We just want to go home," squawked Penguin. "Please help us." One look at the frazzled waddlers and the kind-hearted geese knew just what to do. The dodo was big and heavy, and the storm was strong, but those geese flapped like they had never flapped before. Very slowly, they came out from the storm, and very slowly the waddlers began to feel safe again. With a thud, the dodo finally landed, and the waddler's first flight was over. Look at Kiwi down here hugging Goose's leg. Phew. It was clear that the waddlers had a lot to learn about flying, and it was clear to Penguin that the geese had a few things to learn as well. After teaching each other some very important lessons, the waddlers and geese became good friends. What is it that they're teaching each other? Do you see this? Sun? It looks like the geese is saying there's a check mark next to sun. So if you want to fly, and then there's a cross over, maybe I should zoom in for this right here. If there's an X over a storm, and here's the dodo, and a question mark meaning, should you fly in the sun or should you fly in the storm? And it looks like the geese is kind of teaching them. It looks like you should only go flying when it's sunny out. Now over here, it looks like Penguin, and then he has a little equal sign with a line through it saying, a penguin is not the same thing as what's this? A toilet. So he's teaching all these geese here, when you're flying in the sky and you poop, you don't aim or try and let your poop land on a penguin. Look, he still has the stain on his jacket. Because remember how Penguin was able to do some target. He aimed and was able to get his aim correctly. So he's teaching the geese maybe to aim a little better. And they became best friends. With heads full of flying facts and all bottoms aiming accurately, the waddlers cruised through the sky on the next flight of the Dodo. Okay, flight of the Dodo. What were some things that the waddlers could do or needed to do? And what were some adaptations for the waddlers, and what were some adaptations of the flappers? And if you can think about those things and we can talk about those things later, maybe we'll have a discussion at our closing meeting on the flight of the dodo and adaptations for waddlers and flapper birds. Thanks for listening, my friends.